All right, so are you ready to really get prepped for this vehicle cleaner interview?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, fantastic.
I think we have some really good resources.
We do. We've got role catchers guides, and we're going to go through those and really help people hopefully nail this interview.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing that's interesting about this field is, it's not just cleaning cars, it's about taking pride in transforming something ordinary into something that's, shiny.
That's such a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about role catcher first.
Okay.
So that's like a secret weapon, especially the AI features, right?
Absolutely.
You can actually tailor your answers to match what employers are looking for.
Totally. So, that analyzes job descriptions and it helps you hit those key points that, employers want to hear.
Yeah, and it even helps you fine-tune how you're answering them.
It does. It's like having that a personal coach in your pocket who can say hey, this is working. This isn't working.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of these common questions. And let's start with, I guess, the classic, how did you become interested in becoming a vehicle cleaner?
Right. It seems simple, but
It seems simple, but it's so important.
it's so important, and it's about your passion.
Yes.
It's really about conveying what draws you to the work.
Yes, that the satisfaction of seeing that transformation,
Yeah.
the before and after,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
attention to detail,
Right.
maybe a genuine love of cars.
Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of different reasons
Absolutely.
that you might be interested in this.
Yeah, and I think they might follow up and say, what aspects of vehicle cleaning do you find most rewarding?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So really thinking through this,
Yes.
and this is where RoleCatcher can be super helpful.
Absolutely.
Because you can practice and get feedback on,
Yeah.
you know.
Tailor your answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Okay, so let's go to another question.
Okay.
How would you prioritize tasks when cleaning multiple vehicles at once? So you got a queue?
Yeah, imagine you've got all these cars lined up.
Yes.
How do you decide what to tackle first?
It's a real world situation
Absolutely.
you're going to be facing.
Yeah, and maybe someone has a deadline, or one vehicle needs a more intensive cleaning than others.
Total.
So how do you think through that?
And that really shows your organizational skills. That
Absolutely.
you can work under pressure,
Yeah.
that you can assess
And prioritize.
and make those smart decisions.
Exactly.
And again, this is where RoleCatcher comes in. Yeah. You can practice all these different scenarios.
Totally.
Okay, so let's go to, have you ever had to deal with a difficult customer? How did you handle the situation?
That's a good one.
It's a classic.
Yeah, you don't want to go into a dramatic story, but think about how you can shine as a problem solver.
Yeah, so instead of focusing on the negative, think of a time that you were able to successfully navigate a tricky situation.
Yes.
Maybe a customer was unhappy.
Right.
How did you listen?
Yes.
Offer solutions. How did you turn that frown upside down?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really focus on the steps that you took to achieve that positive outcome.
And it shows that you're a team player. You care about customer satisfaction.
Absolutely.
Speaking of teams, let's talk safety. How do you maintain a safe working environment when cleaning vehicles?
Absolutely.
Another big one.
Yeah, safety is so important, right? Because you're working with these cleaning agents and equipment, and, this is really showcasing that you're committed to following those procedures and keeping yourself and others safe.
Yeah, so don't just mention gloves or goggles.
Right.
I feel like everyone's going to say that.
Yeah.
Go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Talk about those specifics, how you're double-checking labels,
Right.
making sure there's proper ventilation.
Right.
Just that awareness.
Yes. And the Vehicle Cleaner Career Guide actually has a whole section on safety protocols.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, so that's super helpful.
So we've covered some of the fundamental questions. Now let's get to some questions that really help showcase expertise.
Yes, I agree. Let's unpack some of those finer details that differentiate you as a candidate. So let's start with something like, how do you ensure that vehicles are clean to a high standard?
Okay, so again, it might seem basic,
Yeah.
but it's your chance to really showcase those details.
Right. It's not just about getting it done. It's about exceeding expectations.
Yeah, like what separates
Yeah.
a good vehicle cleaner from a great one?
Totally.
Right.
This is where you showcase that meticulous attention to detail, the knowledge of cleaning techniques and going above and beyond.
Right. So instead of just saying, I make sure everything's clean,
Right.
could you say something like, I use a clay bar to remove contaminants before polishing?
Totally. Exactly.
Right.
Mentioning specific techniques or tools shows that deeper understanding.
It shows that you care.
Yes. And those little extras like, cleaning the glove box or restoring headlights.
Yes.
Those are the things that set you apart.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about staying current.
Okay.
Because things are constantly changing, especially with detailing.
Absolutely.
So how do you stay up to date on industry trends and best practices?
Yeah, I love this question because it's about you showcasing that you're passionate and that you want to stay ahead of the curve. And, imagine they follow that up and say, like, what are some of the latest trends that you find exciting?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, so you could talk about ceramic coatings.
Yeah.
You know, how they provide that long-lasting protection and shine.
What about like steam cleaning?
Yes, steam cleaning. That's another great one. It's effective in sanitizing and removing those tough stains without, you know, harsh chemicals.
See, and this is where RoleCatcher's Career Guide comes in.
Total.
Because it has all those things, the trends, the innovations.
You have like a cheat sheet.
Yes. And
What's new.
Yeah.
And don't forget about networking,
Yeah.
Attending those industry events or connecting with experienced professionals.
Yeah. Yes, because it's like a whole community of people who are passionate about car detailing and pushing the boundaries.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I know some people get nervous about questions that deal with potential mishaps.
Yeah.
Like, what if something happens?
Right.
So how would you answer something like, how do you handle a situation where a vehicle is damaged during the cleaning process?
Right. Well, first you want to be honest and transparent. Immediately report the damage to your supervisor and explain clearly what happened.
Okay, and then what?
Yeah, so it's not enough to just apologize. You need to problem solve and show a commitment to finding a solution. So you could say something like, I would immediately document the damage, inform my supervisor, and then work with the customer to explore options for repair or compensation.
So it's about owning up to it and making things right.
Exactly.
And taking those steps
Yeah.
to find a solution.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about the dreaded salary question.
Oh, yeah.
What are your salary expectations?
Okay, so before you go into the interview, you need to do your research. Go to glassdoorsalary.com, get a realistic understanding of that average salary range for vehicle cleaners in your area.
And it depends on your experience level
Of course.
and the requirements of the job.
Right.
But how do you phrase it?
So you could say something like, based on my research and experience, I'm seeking a salary within the range of insert range, and then you can say, however, I'm open to discussing the specifics further based on the overall compensation package.
So you're confident, but you're flexible.
Exactly.
And again, RoleCatcher can be super helpful for this.
Absolutely, because they can give you insight into, typical salary ranges.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question that's about your long-term vision. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right. And you may not have it all mapped out, but they want to see that ambition, that desire for growth.
So even if you're not, thinking about being the CEO of a detailing company,
Right?
what are some ways to answer this?
Yeah. You could say you want to become a team leader,
Okay.
master those specialized techniques, or maybe even explore starting your own detailing business down the line.
And that ties in with the career paths that are outlined
Yes.
in RoleCatcher's Guide.
Absolutely.
So it shows you've done your research.
Exactly. And you're genuinely interested in the possibilities within this field.
Awesome. I feel like we're really starting to create this
I know.
comprehensive picture of how to ace this interview.
Totally.
So what other questions should we cover?
Okay, how about this one? How would you handle a conflict with a coworker?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, because even in, the cleanest of workplaces, things can get a little messy sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah. So remember, it's about working in a team environment and navigating those, different personalities and perspectives.
Right.
So how do you answer this without, raising any red flags? You really want to demonstrate that you can handle conflict constructively and professionally and highlight those skills like active listening, open communication, and, finding those solutions that benefit the whole team.
Okay, so instead of saying I just avoid that coworker,
Right.
share an example of a
Yeah.
time when you did resolve something.
Exactly. And maybe you disagreed about, the best way to perform a task or something.
Right.
And explain how you listened to their perspective, calmly explained your reasoning, and then worked together to find a compromise that, met both your needs and maintained a safe and efficient workflow.
It's all about showing those problem-solving skills.
Absolutely.
But in a team setting.
Yes.
Okay, so what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Ooh, the classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can feel a little tricky.
It can. So when you discuss your strengths, make sure you're focusing on the ones that are relevant to the job of a vehicle cleaner.
Okay.
So highlight things like, attention to detail, your work ethic, your ability to work independently or on a team, and of course that commitment to safety.
Right, and then the weaknesses.
Yeah. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
So choose a weakness that you're actually working to improve and frame it positively.
Okay.
So for instance, you could say something like, sometimes I get so focused on a task that I lose track of time, but I'm working on my time management skills by setting reminders and breaking those larger tasks into, smaller, more manageable chunks.
Well, so it's about being self-aware.
Yes.
And having that desire to improve.
Absolutely. And this is another great opportunity to use RoleCatcher.
Oh, of course.
Practice your response and get feedback on how to best phrase it to, highlight that growth mindset.
Okay, so I think we're almost at the end here.
Yeah.
But we can't forget this last question, and it's a really important one. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, it's your turn.
It's your turn to ask questions.
To interview them a little bit.
Right, because this shows your interest in the role in the company.
Exactly.
So what kind of questions should we be asking?
Yeah, it's not the time to ask about salary or vacation, but focus on questions that show you've done your homework.
Okay.
And you want to learn more about the company culture, opportunities for growth, or even specifics about the role.
Like what?
You could ask things like, what type of training programs do you offer?
Okay.
Or what are some of the biggest challenges or rewards that come with this position?
So really engage with them.
Yeah, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And you're leaving that lasting impression.
And remember, it's a two-way street.
It is. You're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you.
Totally.
So as we wrap up, I just want to emphasize how amazing RoleCatcher is.
It really is.
Those AI tools are, your secret weapon to creating that standout CV.
Yes.
Practicing your answers and getting that personalized feedback.
It's like having a career coach in your corner.
It really is. So to all of our listeners out there who are preparing for those vehicle cleaner interviews, remember,
Yes.
do your research.
Yes.
Practice those responses.
Yes.
Highlight your passion and skills.
Yes.
And let your personality show.
You've got this. Good luck.